There we go. Okay, there we go now.
Okay? Because you just push in for the stop and start, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's rolling.
Go for it. That way we can make some more mistakes.
You got that, John?
I got it.
Good morning, everybody. Good
Morning.
I just wanted to say thank you all for coming.
We can't hear you.
Do we got that microphone?
Can't hear you.
Yeah. Is it on?
Is that better? Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so glad to have you all here. CICA has not had a training in quite a few years, so we are just thrilled to be able to host this today. And have so many of you come from across the state. I know that we've got folks here from the LA area, we've got folks from Humboldt, and all your local folks from the Bay Area, and also the Valley, Merced area, so I'm just really pleased in Diego Valley to have so many folks here.
Imperial Valley.
And we're about Bear Valley.
Riverside.
Well, we have a chance when we, at lunchtime, when we have some time, you can all introduce yourself to each other and kind of get acquainted, which is a big part of what we like to have done too here. This morning, I want to thank very much my committee that got this together. Of course, I should introduce myself. I'm Janie Whiteford, and I'm co-president of CICA this year and next year. We just had our election, so we've got a full contingency of executive officers. We do need a few vice presidents. So if any of you are interested in becoming CICA vice presidents, we would love to have you come on board. The chair for this conference was William Reed right here. And, the committee was Cindy Calderon from Humboldt, and Charlie Bean from Humboldt, and Jan from, where's Jan from? Calaveras, thanks, Dan. So we, a good contingency of getting folks together here. Housekeeping, bathrooms are right across the hall that way. We have ordered lunches. If you did not register with us and just popped in today to say hi and join us, we're going to have to say that we don't have a lunch for you, but we only ordered for those that pre-registered. But there are restaurants in the area if you want to go out. We had 3 large font handouts, booklets, and I sent you some things that maybe people got them. 3 were ordered. So if you didn't order one and notice that you have any handouts, your pamphlets are in large font, would you please give them back to Cindy so we can make sure the right people get them. Cindy's right here, make sure they're down right.
Could you kind of turn that up a little?
Turn it up.
Yeah.
You have to speak into it right away.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Thanks. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce William, who's going to talk about today's agenda and participant expectations.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to wake everyone up.
Good job.
We have a full agenda today. First, welcome everyone here. It's a wonderful opportunity to see and put names to the voices that we hear every month on the call.
Can you speak as loud as you did when you said good morning?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so nice to have everyone here to put faces to the voices that we hear on our call. It's a great opportunity. We haven't had a summit in some time, so it's a great opportunity to see everyone and have everyone participate. And we hope you enjoy the conference. I want to first go over our agenda. We're going to start out our agenda with Melvin Moose with the CICA history and IHSS advisory board mandates under legislation. Deborah Doctor and Karen Kiesler, we hope they show up. They will have a panel discussion. Then we will have our lunch, which will start at 12 to 1. And again, we hope we have lunches for everyone. Everyone pre-ordered, we should have their lunch. And be sure to see Charlie with your $5 to pay for those lunches. Or you can catch me and I'll mark them off for you. At 1 o'clock, we have Charles Kavanaugh, who will talk to us. Taliban. Okay. Sorry.
Charlie's writing.
And that should be a very good discussion on how to have an effective advisory board and how to work with your public authority. And then the legislative and activity grant. Okay. After that, we'll have Fran Smith. Fran, glad to have you here. She will be examples of legislative visits with Disability Capital Action Day, which is tomorrow. And we're going to wrap it up. I'll do that. Where do we go as advisory board from here? I hope that'll be a very lively discussion, and we hope you take away something from this discussion as we go. So, what are your expectations?
Thank you.
I'd like to find out what you hope to get from this session. I'd like to find out what we can do better for you as an organization and how we can better interact and accomplish our goals. So, can I get a scribe? Is there someone who would like a scribe? Okay, not right now. We'll go right into Eldon. Okay.
I just wanted to let you know about this first section. We're going to do a little bit about the history of advisory committees and public authorities. Then we're going to go into, obviously, the history of CAPA getting organized and then CICA getting organized. I think it's always helpful when we're looking for, which is what William's going to do, is the expectations of where we're going. It's always helpful to know where we've been so that we can see what's changed over the years and how we're going to be moving forward. So we'd like to start, I think, I have to really say Eldon and I have been in this business for a long time, and Eldon longer than me. I can remember back when I'm from Santa Clara County, we were first developing our public authority, and I was on that committee that just started the development process. And Eldon was in San Mateo, went up and talked to him, along with Donna Calais up in San Francisco. And I have to tell you, we're all retiring. Eldon's retired, Donna Calais retired, and so we're getting some new blood in here. We've got to train that new blood, folks. So, that's why it's important that we say, where are we going? Where have we been? Because we have been so fortunate in so many counties to have folks with us, like Sales from San Diego. You're not retiring yet, though, right? No way. That have been so helpful and so supportive of CICA and their advisory committees. So, we need to make that follow through with the new folks coming in. Okay, let's go with Eldon and start way back when.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay back there? Great, thank you. If you can't, just raise your hand or something about it lower than mine. I was telling Jamie, I'm nervous. You would think after 35 years of doing this, I wouldn't be nervous about it anymore, but I am really, really glad to be here and to see this group get together again. Some of us, we're talking about needing new blood, we're all aging. And it's just that some of us have a little more experience at it than others. And so I'm certainly one of those people. I retired from San Mateo, Placer County, after 10 years of my final 10 years of my paid career. I was managing all of the older adult programs and disability programs for the county, including IHSS and the public authority. But those that are retiring, I don't know if it'll end up for you like it has for me, but I've been just as busy on boards and a number of other things. It's really hard to let go of something you're passionate about and that you believe in and that you've spent so much of your time on, and that still has a lot of ways to go. So it's just hard to let go. So I was asked to give some history, and I was looking in history for this particular segment, looking at CAPA and IHSS and CICA, goes back at least 25 years. And 25 years ago, the evolution towards public authorities and the changes that we've seen in IHSS began in the late 80s and the early 90s. And this was a time of some turmoil in IHSS. It was interesting because little had changed in the program up to that point. Now, some of us have forgotten that because so much has changed in the program over the last few years. But then, there hadn't been much change, and there was turmoil in IHSS. There was a contract mode and the independent provider mode, and there was controversy over both of those and the pluses and the minuses of them. There was rising caseloads, rising costs. We were looking at bringing federal money, Medicaid money into the program back then. And there was a good deal of discontent, both from workers and from recipients or consumers in the program. It just wasn't working as well as some people thought it could work. As a result of these issues, some counties began to look at it too from a systemic level, and they formed work groups and task force, and this is again way back in the late 80s, early 90s, to begin to look at this program and to look at the deficits in the program, including, and I've experienced this, then when you were eligible for IHSS, they told you, well, you're eligible, fine, go out and find somebody that's willing to take, at that time I think it was $2 and something an hour, minimum wage, and come back and tell us when you have somebody. So there was no central way to find providers, there was low wages, no benefits, and there was no input from those the program affected most, from consumers, none. Everybody knew best about the program for the consumer, and the consumer had no voice in that process. And those were the things that were being looked at during those days. At that time, I was an independent living center director in San Mateo County, and had many years of experience also as a recipient. And having experienced the deficits in the program, San Mateo County asked me to chair their task force on IHSS. Out of these kinds of task forces, there was a coalition of consumers and workers and county and state representatives and the California Foundation of Independent Living Centers and organized labor designed this model that we now call the public authority. And they also developed the enabling legislation that would make this model possible. One of the themes you're going to hear from me over and over again, and this is the first time, the first legislation for public authorities passed in 1993 that authorized counties to establish public authorities, but only voluntarily. And over again through that whole process, what we heard from individuals, from systems, from counties, from government, it'll never happen. It'll never, ever happen. The law will never pass, and even if it does pass, there will be no counties that would be willing to come forward and do this, because they knew it would begin to increase the cost, and well, it should, through provider wages and benefits. Well, the law passed, and sure enough, 6 to 8, I can't remember exactly, counties stepped forward voluntarily and said, yes, we want to do this. We think this will help solve some of those problems that we see in IHSS. And the first public authority started in San Mateo County, as you've heard. I applied and became the director of that public authority. It started in June of 1994. Seems like a long time ago now in some ways it seems like yesterday. And for the first time, consumers had a voice through an advisory committee to express how they felt about the program, what they thought should be done in the program. Another piece of legislation passed, let me get it right here. In 1999, another piece of legislation was proposed. Some of you've all probably heard this, AB 1682. Again, everybody, it seemed like, except a small group of people that believed in this, everybody said this could never happen. That law would never pass. And it did pass. And what happened at that point is employers of record became mandated in every county in California. And in most cases, that meant public authorities. And also mandated was an advisory committee or a board of a majority of consumers. And those boards and advisory committees were designed after independent living center boards, which had the same mandated boards of directors. The consumers were the majority of people. And in this case, for IHSS, consumers were considered to be current or past users of in-home services, whether publicly or privately funded. And that's where we are still today. Shortly after,
What I can say a little bit about is that,
Louder, please.
I'm sorry, we, in Santa Clara County, we were one of those counties that started ahead of time before AB 1682 came into being. So we already had an advisory committee and a public authority. And our ticket at that time was the public authority director. When AB 1682 came into being, we knew that there were counties that were going to be kicking and fighting and saying, no way, Jose. Unfortunately, there is still a little bit of that in existence. But we, our advisory committee, along with that in San Mateo and in San Francisco, they had it ahead of time too, and Alameda, all in the Bay Area, and I think it was Los Angeles, I don't remember. Yes, LA too. We knew that there were going to be a lot of people with a lot of questions. A lot of counties that really didn't know what was going on. And Eldon did a lot of contract work, getting out there in the community and telling people how they can develop their public authorities.
I'll take just a step back because the history of public authorities, CAPA and CICA, are so intertwined. When the first public authority law passed, and public authorities voluntarily began to step forward, I think it surprised a lot of people. And San Jose, Oakland, San Mateo, and San Francisco, public authorities began to meet on a regular basis. And we even had our county kind of representatives that had supported implementation meet with us, and we met regularly. We called it the Regional Public Authority Council, as I recall. And that evolved into what was now known as CAPA, California Association of Public Authorities, which became a much more formal organization than when we started. The mandate, there was really interesting at 1682. There were a number of people that felt that the mandate would not work and that it should remain voluntary. Enough of us believed in the model that we felt even counties that would not come forward voluntary should come forward, even kicking and screaming, which a number of them did. And as Jenny has said, besides working full-time, I also consulted all over the state, helping set up these 1682 advisory committees and the implementation process for public authorities. Even though there were other choices for employer of record, the county or a contractor, the public authority model was by far the one that benefited everybody the most, everybody, including the counties, through the funding mechanism, consumers certainly, and so on. So I had firsthand experience on counties that didn't really want to do it, and we had a limited amount of time, and some people waited right up to the last second. Well, yeah, they had about 3 years, and some waited till 2 years and 11 months, it seemed like, before they decided they were going to do this. So it's been a long history, and out of this process, as we moved along, it became more and more obvious to us in CAPA and other organizations that we needed a comparable organization to represent consumers in IHSS and be an association in the sense of the advisory committees themselves. And out of that, CICA was born, and I think it was, I've got notes here, the first conference that CICA held, it was in San Jose in 2002 or 3. And then after, in about 2006, I think it was, CICA came out from under, in a sense, CAPA's wing. CAPA supported CICA and helped it evolve, I think, it's fair to say. They became really independent after that. I remember one example of that. Again, it was another one of those things where people said that it'll never work. It'll never happen. You just can't do that. Consumers aren't capable. They can't get together. They won't be organized. And the state of California, even though advisory committees were mandated, so there had to be funding for them, so every county got $53,000, $54,000, something like that, to fund their advisory committees. The state still questioned whether that money could be used to pay CICA dues. And again, there was those, oh, that's not a viable cost, it'll just never happen. And I remember a meeting of CICA, CAPA, I think I was there on CAPA's behalf, and a number of state officials to decide what were allowable costs to charge against that money. And we left that room with them agreeing CICA dues were allowable. Again, one of those things that people just said couldn't happen, and it did happen. I guess if I left you with anything today, and I'm going to pass this on, is to say, because I have seen it over and over and over in my life, do not believe that. Do not believe it can't be done. If you believe it, it won't get done. It's amazing what a little handful of people can do against huge, powerful systems. They're saying you can't do it, and it gets done. It just does. And I know we in this room, and many of us have been told over and over and over, oh no, you can't do that. Oh no, you're not going to do that. Well, it's just not true if you say it's not true. Things can happen.
Nice, Elvin. Super. I just want to say, CAPA was incredibly instrumental in helping CICA all along. And we were kind of a vision at that 2002 meeting. Those of us in Santa Clara County knew that there were so many advisory committees out there that were kind of coming to us and asking, what do we do? How do we do this? What's going on? That we felt that it would be really important to have a meeting where everybody could come from throughout the state, advisory committee members themselves, to learn about what their mandates were and what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to function. And from that first meeting, it just became clearer and clearer to a cadre of us, consumers and advocates in the IHSS system, that it was really, really important for us to have an organization that spoke for us, for the consumers and the people that were really involved in the program, and not the management of it, not CAPA, and not the public authority directors, and not IHSS folks, but those that really were impacted by the system itself. So that's how CICA came about. It was 2006 when we finally got our 501c3 status, so that we became a nonprofit, and had our board of directors and opened up for membership. And membership has been growing. It was a little bit at a time, and we now have, I think, 25, Charlie?
28.
28. Well, I mean, that's just incredible to me. 28 counties are members of CICA, so that's absolutely huge. Our work's not done. We have a lot more work to do. We're in there for the long haul, and we're asking all of you to be there for the long haul with us. I think, it's just looking at what we've done and where we've come from is just really gives us great hope for what's in the future. And there's, we're going to be talking today about the changes in IHSS and what's come about and how, we need to change too, because the system is definitely changing under our feet. I wanted to ask Cindy, right here next to me, I was going to be talking about the IHSS mandates under AB 1682 and the public authority function, or the advisory committee function.
Can everybody hear me? Yes. All right, because this is dangerous to give an advocate the microphone. I just want to make sure. What I have right here is an all-county letter. I'm sorry that it wasn't in your packet. I will pass it out and make sure that everybody has it. This is when the boom kind of came down and they took away our $53,000. This is the all-county letter dated November of 2008, which changed how we could use our funds, and it's really important. One thing, CICA was not able to pull together a conference. We thought nobody has any money, and so this is a super highlighted day for us because this room is full, and I know that I'm not the only advocate in this room. Can we pass this around? I am a community organizer and a systems change advocate for Tri-County Independent Living in Humboldt County, and I've also been on the CICA Executive Board for quite a while. What I wanted to go over with briefly was some of the key mandates that came out in AB 1682. I wanted to print you all out a copy of the entire bill, but it turns out it's really, really long. So I would encourage you to look it up when you get a moment. Was it legislative info, lakeinfo.org or .com? We'll also put this on. Thank you, Randy. We'll put this on our website. This tells you how you can now spend your money. And we all looked at this and thought, oh my gosh, we can't do anything. But what I'm here to tell you is we need to learn the rules. Once you learn the rules, then you know how you can break them legally and get what you want. And basically that's what it is and what we have to do with our new mandate. So regarding AB 1682, like Jamie said, it mandated us, so it gave us money. We were recognized as an entity that had a function. We were to report to the Board of Supervisors for how we felt or how we were informed by the recipients in the county, how the program was running. When they changed the law, they put us under the public authority. But really our mandate, I don't think has changed that much. One thing I think is great about advisory committees is that we can change our advisory committee seats to encompass the whole broad spectrum of recipients. It's not just people of my age that receive IHSS. There's also children, there's adult children. In Humboldt County, we redid our bylaws. It took quite a while because we had to work with county council, but we were able to open up a seat for a parent provider, which is something we didn't have before. And there was no stipulation on whether the child was a minor or an adult. It made no difference. I think everybody's familiar. You're all on advisory committees, I expect, so you're all familiar with the Brown Act and Robert's Rules of Orders. My message isn't so much today on that kind of stuff. It's more about the paper that I just sent out to you and how we can be effective, which is what we're going to learn more about in the afternoon. But as you can see, and I've been saying it for years, Humboldt County has managed to continue to do quite a lot with our funds because we just call it outreach. And when you get that paper that came out in 2008, outreach is on there. So we can help, for instance, right now we're working really close with our mental health department. We have a big day planned. We will have a lot of information out and money spent because we just put our name on it with how to reach us and when we meet. That goes back to my original, learn the rules so you can know how to get what you need without being out of compliance. And it's not as hard as you might think. One thing that you do really need to work on, I think, is it is our mandate to let the powers that be in our counties know how the recipients feel the program is running. That is what we're supposed to do. We do that a lot in Humboldt County through needs assessments, surveys. It's really important to stay in contact with the consumers, recipients in your county. We can't just be meeting every month and talk to Department of Social Services and county representatives. We need to be encouraging recipients to come to the meetings, and if they can't, find a way to reach out to them. And I think that was my main message today, was learn the rules and keep advocating. Thank you.
Let me just add a couple of things. We talked about the role or the definition of the duties of the advisory committees. I want to read it to you, how broad it actually is. It states that the advisory committees are to provide ongoing advice and recommendations regarding in-home supportive services to the County Board of Supervisors, any administrative body in the county that is related to the delivery and the administration of IHSS, and the governing body and administrative agency of the public authority, nonprofit consortium, contractor, and public employees. It's huge. It is really, really a broad definition. Now, the reason we don't get $53,000 anymore is the state decided to lift the mandate that came in 1682 to have an IHSS advisory committee. And the reason they did that, because it's, in my opinion, they didn't want to pay for them, and you have to pay for a mandate, so they lifted the mandate and said, well, you don't have to have an advisory committee, so we don't have to pay for it. But the kink in that argument was public authorities are required to have advisory committees, and the advisory committees have that same role, and so the advisory committees, whatever there's a public authority, still stay in place. Two challenges, I think. One is, the good news is we have CICA, and this is looking from my perspective. The challenge is, without that money, the counties and public authorities don't have the same money they once had to pay CICA dues. And we have to keep CICA going, and CICA's doing a great job. Just look around at keeping it going, even without the kind of money that was once available. That's on the kind of the state level. At the local level, the good news is we have advisory committees in almost every county, I believe every county. I'm certain where public authorities are, and we have that huge role that is a mandate for us to fulfill. I think the challenge is, how do we do that? And in many cases, we haven't. I'm the chair of our advisory committee for IHSS in Placer County. We're doing a good job, but we're not doing that. We have a great relationship with